What's going on, everybody? Jason Rubin here once again for 2YT Sports. I'm back in Los Angeles. I'll be back in the studio tomorrow. A successful 2-week trip, a successful Thanksgiving, successful time at UFC 205, a bunch of other fun stuff along the way. So no more shooting out of a tiny phone booth in New York. Back in studio, I'm shooting this one from home. Picked up a new baseball hat, which I haven't really done in a while. So I figured let's show off the throwback Seattle Mariners hat. Why? Because I love Ken Griffey Jr., and that's more than enough of a reason to buy a throwback Seattle Mariners hat. All right, so on to a few things for today. For one, I wasn't sure how to necessarily structure this clip, so I'm going to do a couple takeaways, kind of like what Francis does in his Sunday Sitdown thing for the Premier League, which you'll see later today, but I'm going to do it for the NBA. So there's a few things that happened last night that I thought were noteworthy. First things first, Andrew Wiggins Dunk of the Year candidate. I don't think it will be. I do think it's been one of the best dunks from start to finish that we've seen so far. I say that because he beat Andre Iguodala pretty badly off his first step, and then JaVale McGee, what are you doing, man? He threw that down pretty hard. So Wiggins almost did that exact dunk last year. I wish I could find the tape. Of course, we can't show it to you. Here's a couple pictures, and in the link in the description box below, you can find it. There was a couple other things from that Warriors game. Reddit pointed this one out. I want to at least get the user so I don't screw anybody over, and at least credit my source here. So Reddit, Pinkinda, Pink, I don't even know. Pinkinda. Got it. Kevin Durant just had the first NBA game with 28 points, 10 plus rebounds, 5 plus assists, and 5 plus blocks since Kevin Durant did it in March, which is pretty awesome. So I realized that, and as he pointed out, another 2 points would have made it nice and even, of course, but still a rare feat, which last 5 guys to do it before that are Pau Gasol, Anthony Davis, Dwayne Wade, Dirk. So we're talking, exclusive company. I mean, it is Kevin Durant in the end, so of course he's going to be in that type of company. The Warriors ripped off their 11th straight win. They are much better than I anticipated out the gate. I did think there was going to be some growing pains. I didn't think that they'd be ripping off 11-game winning streaks. So, remarkably, now they've hopped the Clippers. They're 10-0 in their, obviously, they're on 11-game winning streaks. They're 10-0 in their last 10, 6-1 at home, 9-1 on the road. That's what's so impressive. They're playing even better, and they've had more road games so far to start the season. 15-2. They've barely played the Eastern Conference, only, I believe, 4 games so far. So obviously, a lot of their schedule is going to, I think, get easier in a way in the next 20 games or so. And the standings following that are the Clippers and the Spurs at 14-3. The Grizzlies and Rockets both with 6 losses. The Thunder 10-8. So not that surprising looking at the standings through roughly 16, 17 games this season. Some teams have played 18. But I wanted to transition over to the Spurs because the Spurs, I believe, are also undefeated on the road. They're 10-0. So weirdly, they're 4-3 at home, and and again, they've only played 7 of those games at home. They've started off with a lot of road trips. And watching Kawhi Leonard yesterday in yesterday's game, he's stepping into threes, and that arsenal of offensive moves that he has is only getting stronger. We know he trained with Kobe in the offseason. We started seeing Kobe-esque turnaround jumpers from Kawhi Leonard, but it's those little things. It looks like he's picking up the moves of a lot of other players, stepping into threes like Kevin Durant steps into threes. And we also know that on the defensive end, there's no better two-way forward, save for maybe LeBron James. But at times, you look at Kawhi Leonard and go, is Kawhi Leonard right now a better defender than LeBron James? Well, he doesn't have the size. But in transition, it's tough. I think it's pretty close when you look at Kawhi and LeBron James in terms of their defensive abilities on the floor. LeBron's got obviously the bigger size in that contest, and that goes a long way. However, you can't discount Kawhi and what he's done so far. Jonathan Simmons, freak athlete, still jumping out the building, which looks pretty good. And David Lee was, making some plays. He got a lot of usage in last night's game as well. I'm talking about Saturday's win for the Spurs. And then lastly, the Thunder. So Russell Westbrook recorded his second straight triple-double. He's now tied with LeBron James with triple-doubles in his career. I think it's 44. It took Westbrook under 700 games to do it. It took LeBron about 1,000 games to do it. Now, LeBron has a lot more to show for it. He's probably had better teams, so I would say the Heat was a better team than the Thunder. But I can also say that last year's Cavaliers team, I don't think was as good at times as last year's Thunder team with Durant and Westbrook. So a lot of people were saying, like, well, where do you stack up Westbrook to LeBron right now? Well, until Westbrook could really start carrying his team by himself. It just goes to show, and I'm not trying to make this about LeBron James, but it goes to show that while all the numbers are remarkable, and all of the stats in these triple doubles of 16 points, 18 assists, 12 rebounds, whatever it was specifically, and his numbers on the season, which I think are now above triple double for the season. Let's take a look at that again. Sorry, eyes are wandering as I'm looking up stats and information for you guys as we're shooting the clip. So according to ESPN, I'm pulling that one up. It's close. He's got 31.2 points, 11.1 assists, and 9.9 rebounds. So one 11 rebound performance probably would get it up to 10 rebounds per game, and even if he had 9 or 8 assists tonight, it wouldn't even, or tomorrow night, it wouldn't even bring down those assist numbers. So he's close to actually averaging a triple-double through 20 games of the season, 25% of the season, and he also didn't start off doing these crazy numbers either. They're 10-8, so I still think if Westbrook averages a triple-double or Harden comes close, whoever has the higher seed at that point will be your NBA MVP. No disrespect to a lot of other players in the league. And also, and by the way, Steph Curry is still playing very good basketball. I would like to go into a clip on looking at Steph last year and this year and start comparing the two to see how they're different in the systems, but how they're both still effective at the point guard position. Totally random, totally tangenting. Westbrook, back to Westbrook. We recorded that triple-double. They got the win. The Thunder, hovering around that 6th seed, I believe it is. And again, we're still way too early to talk about, the Thunder as the 6th seed. However, they're playing well at home, 7-4. They're a little bit struggling on the road. I like when they use Kanter more on the offensive end. I think it's interesting when they have to play a smaller lineup because Kanter can't play defense if his life depended on it. So when they have to play a smaller lineup against teams like the Warriors, it really does affect the offensive end of the floor, but I like when they have to, like when they play a team like the Grizzlies and they can play big and it's more of a slow-paced game. So therefore, you have Kanter in the lineup more, in the rotations more. I like what I see from Steven Adams when he's down low, and Oladipo's finally looking to get a little bit more comfortable. If I'm correct, Victor Oladipo over his last 5 games has been a lot better than Victor Oladipo from the first 10 games of the season. Oladipo was struggle city. He's averaging 17.3 points per game, and he's raised his field goal percentage to 46.4. He's played every game this season. This all courtesy of basketballreference.com. If you're not going to Basketball Reference, I have no idea what you're doing. But yeah, over the last few games, so in the first, he had that stretch of 18, 12, and 9, where he couldn't hit a 3. He was 1 of 7 in a game where he had the 9-point game. But since then, he's been shooting above 43% was the lowest he had, but for the most part above 46%, including some strong performances. I'm just looking at the game log, which I'll show you. His last 3 games, 18, 26, and 18. He's playing, close to 37 minutes per game over that stretch. So a lot better from what we're seeing. He's also passing the ball more. Just in general, Oladipo is a big key to helping Westbrook through these situations, because if Oladipo doesn't get going and clicking in that backcourt, I'm not sure how successful the Thunder could be just on Westbrook's shoulders. That's about it for you. We'll be back tomorrow in studio with some NFL. I want to talk, obviously, about the UFC at some point with Daniel Cormier pulling out of UFC 206 and McGregor relinquishing his featherweight belt. Jose Aldo now your champion of that division. A lot of good stuff going on in the sports world. Last night, Michigan versus Ohio State. I don't know how the refs shammed Michigan out of that one. I do believe there was some really bad calls, but I also believe that in overtime, where was the Michigan defense on a lot of those plays? And of course, even after a bad call, you can't just let them walk into the end zone. Urban Meyer got I shouldn't say well-deserved, but a victory nonetheless. Both those teams should make the college football playoff, by the way. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. I don't see a reason why, unless one of them loses next week. Specifically, Michigan loses next week. Back-to-back losses, you can throw them out of the playoff. But if they win next week, I don't see how you keep Michigan out of the playoff. For the ratings, for everything else that goes with it, they're a deserving team to be there. I think Colin Cowherd set the internet on fire with the USC tweet, which I thought was pretty amazing. He said 1 Alabama, 2 USC, 3 Ohio State, 4 Michigan. All right, so a little bit of college football in there too. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. I'll be back tomorrow.